Alright guys, quick review of my Meepo Hurricane. Now I ain't no David Bailey, I don't do all this editing shit. It goes straight from my phone onto the computer and onto YouTube. I love this board. I've had it for 9 months. I bought it in the UK from Eastgate.shop with Tim Wood, one of the more well-known London riders. I also have a spare battery, which I believe is the only one in the UK, or it certainly was a couple of months ago. And I have a new deck. I'll explain that in a minute. I love this board. I've got over 1,000 miles on this. I've seen people do reviews at 100 miles, 200 miles, and I don't think you can do a review until you've done at least 500. As I say, I've got well over 1,000. Now I've ridden this on ATs and I've ridden it on streets. I ride it mostly on streets for the range. Because I'm a big boy, I'm at the 17 stone, which is about 240 pound American, and whatever it is in the kilo bollocks that the EU use, I don't know. I love this board. For £1,500 when I bought it at the start of this year, and the Evolve Hadrian at the time was 2,400. So this is £900 cheaper than the Evolve Hadrian, and is basically the same board. It's got about the same amount of power, the motors are roughly the same size, carbon fibre deck. I couldn't justify the extra £900 for the Evolve, despite the guys in the shop really trying to convince me at the time to get the Hadrian. But I love this board, and quite frankly, I know there's a lot of similar boards that have come out this year from Own Board and X-Way and others, but for the money, I don't think this can be beaten. And it's been improved now because they've made stronger trucks for it, and they've upped the oomph in the ESC, which it didn't need because this thing goes like a stabbed rat. You really do have to be careful on the throttle on this. It's not a board I'd recommend for beginners because it's got too much power. You need to know what you're doing before you get one of these. That said, you could stick it in mode 1 and 2, but then you could probably walk faster than the ball goes in mode 1 and 2. Now, I live in London and we've got some of the worst roads in the world. I mean, let's face it, some of our roads date back to Roman times. They are cobbles with tarmac over the top of them, and some of them are just the cobbles still. And although ATs are better for that sort of roads, the range just destroys. I get 15 miles on this on ATs, and I get 28 miles on the Talkboard 110s that it's now running. So this will stay on streets for now. Well, in fact, it will stay on streets permanently as long as I have it. And I have the Flux Motion AT2 if I want a long range comfy ride. As we all know, you really have to focus sort of 5 metres in front of you when you're riding street wheels, because every bump is a potential hazard. So it's a lot more mentally taxing riding this. That said, I do max it every time I take it out. So that's 28 miles on that battery, backpack carrying that, and get another 28 miles. So it's the mileage has caused the only problem I've really got with this board, and that is stripped screws. The inserts are stripped on 6 screws, 3 at the front and 3 at the back. Now, this isn't an issue because I don't ride it in the rain. I don't trust urethane in the rain, that's why I've got the ATs on that. But that is the only issue I've had in 9 months, and that's my own fault because I literally carry an electric screwdriver with me and I change the battery over virtually every time I take it out. I'm a long range rider. If I'm not riding at least 20 miles in a ride, I don't really go out. I don't consider it a ride. But the only time I go out for less than 20 miles is when I go on group rides. But if you're in the market for a carbon fibre decked board, and as we all know, there's about 7 or 8 of them have been released this year, this I think is still the cheapest and actually the best. I have ridden 3 of the others and I couldn't get on with them. But this thing I absolutely love. It will be staying with me now on streets, and that one will be my AT board. I will be changing the deck to that one for the fresh inserts, but I'm going to wait till the vinyl wrap wears down a bit, and then I'm just going to strip it, put the lid on that one and get it hydro dipped. That is a vinyl wrap. Obviously I've got my shred lights on the back and the front for night riding, because I go out at stupid hours. If any of you see my relive videos, they'll be shot at like 1, 2, 3 in the morning. Touch on the remote. I didn't think I'd actually like this, but I do. I mean, I ran a puck for 18 months and I loved that thing, but this is actually quite a nice remote. Cheap as chips, but it does the job. So obviously I ain't a videographer, this is just shot on my phone. This is a quick review, basically because I'm bored shitless, because it's pissing down with rain outside, so I can't go out for a ride tonight. But yeah, if you're after a carbon fibre decked board, I would seriously consider the Meepo Hurricane, especially as now it's had a couple of upgrades on it and sorted out issues that people had that I haven't experienced. It's goes like a stab rat. Even with a heavy rider, you're looking at just short of 30 miles of range with street wheels and 15 to 18 on these 6-inch tyres. That's another upgrade that has happened because a lot of people were getting punctures. So they've upgraded their tyres to a different brand and a different tread pattern, which seems to have sorted out the punctures. So yeah, I'll leave you with just a shot of this.